If you're happy and you know it, how do you know it? If you're happy and you know it, is it the big stuff or is it the small stuff that makes us happy, or is it a combination of both? And what's more important? And the question came into my head because somebody asked me, Rowie, if the small stuff doesn't matter, have you ever tried to run 42.2 kilometres with a tiny stone in your shoe? And you couldn't do it, you would go crazy. Have you ever tried to sleep in a tent with just one mosquito? You can't sleep, it would drive you crazy. The bugs and weeds that come into our life, they're just one tiny little seed or one tiny little bug, but one tiny little seed that you don't even plant can grow into a huge big weed that's really hard to pull out. I've just had the bug man come to our house. We had these tiny little bugs like the size of a pinhead. He called them weevils. They were really tiny. You could hardly see them, they were so small, but millions of them, and they made a huge big mess, and it took a really long time for him to debug our house from these tiny little weevils. So are the small things important? Well, if you go to a court of law, the lawyers will share with you that if you share one tiny little lie, a little white lie, one that doesn't matter, they will then take your whole testimony and throw it out, because they will say if you're prepared to lie about a tiny thing, then you will be prepared to lie about a really big thing, so we can't believe anything that you say. So what do we focus on? Do we focus on the little things or the big things? There's a great quote, don't sweat the small stuff and it's all small stuff. But if we put a whole lot of small stuff together, will it create big stuff? And I think it's a really important question, because a lot of people use small stuff as an excuse not to do big stuff. I'm so busy doing the small stuff. People say that to me all the time. I'm really busy. And I always ask, busy doing what? It's not how many hours you've got, it's what you put into those hours. And if you're putting a whole pile of little stuff into your hours, is it possible that the big stuff doesn't get done? The reverse of that is, how do you do the big stuff if you don't know how to do the little stuff? So if you can't be trusted to, and I'll use a really interesting example. A lot of employers have shared with me that one of the things they look at in an interview are fingernails. Because if your fingernails are bitten, or you've got chipped nail polish, or they're dirty, something as little as your fingernails, what does that share about you as a person? Someone that's got bitten fingernails or dirty fingernails or chipped fingernails, could they be signs of a lack of discipline, anxiety? Lots of interesting things can come out of just looking at somebody's fingernails. So that's only a small thing, but it can make a really big deal, or can be a really big deal with some employers. For example, you might go out on a hot date and the person's gorgeous and everything seems to be going really well, but then they say one silly, tiny, dumb thing and maybe the whole event, the whole date is ruined. So here's my question. Rather than is it big or is it small, what if we put 100% effort into everything that we do and we just become a 100% effort person? So there's no small things or big things, we just do everything that's meant to be done. And I'm one of those people that, apart from the fact that I do, and I share this regularly, I get accused regularly of being unrealistically happy. I always find that really funny, and I laugh a lot, which makes me even more happy, and because I'm laughing. It's really easy to be happy when you get stuff done. It's easy to be happy when you set a goal and you achieve it. It's easy to be happy when your life's got a purpose. And life purpose is a big thing. But here's a great question. If you don't know what your life purpose is, if you don't know what your passion is, could it be really important to go and do all the things? So it might be the little things. You might find that you go grape picking, or you go looking after sheep, or you go to work in an art school, and then you realise what your passion is. It started off as something small, but it helped you realise what the big thing was all about. So what if we become 100% effort people in everything that we do? What if you wake up in the morning and say, here's my 24 hours and that's all we've got, same as me, same as you, same as everybody. The one thing we've all got in common, we've got 24 hours. The question is, what are we going to do with those 24 hours? Are we going to waste time on things that don't matter? Or are we going to invest time on the things that do matter? And it's one of those things I do all day, every day, is I check in with myself regularly throughout the day and ask this question. Is what I'm doing right now heading me towards my goal or away from my goal? Now, whether it's a small thing or a big thing that I'm doing, if it's heading me towards my goal, I keep doing it, whether it's small or big, because I'm on track to achieving my goals. But if what I'm doing, even if it's a big thing, is not heading me towards my goal, then I stop doing it. There's another great quote. It's great to climb the ladder, but make sure you're climbing the right ladder. Imagine getting to the top of the ladder or the top of the mountain and realizing you're on the wrong building, you're on the wrong mountain. You focused on the wrong things. And the wrong thing simply means this is my goal, this is the outcome, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm getting distracted by something else. And it's really easy to get distracted, especially in a world where we carry our life around with us in our hand, and that thing pings and carries on all day long. So I've got messages, I've got posts, I've got emails, I've got text messages, and we want to go look because it makes us feel important. But there's a great question to be asked. Is what's going on here right now heading me towards my goal or away from my goal? It might be just a small thing. It might be just a one text message or one post or one Instagram photo, but it could change your headspace, which heads you in the wrong direction. And that's just a simple question to ask. If you're going to keep checking your phone, always ask yourself, if I watch this, read this, listen to this right now, is it going to head me towards my goal or away from my goal? There's a really great analogy, and I've been using this regularly for the last 7 months because I've been building a garden with rocks, with gravel, and with sand, and with water. And the analogy that I always use, you do the big rocks first, because if you do the water and the sand first, then where do you put the big rocks? You have to move the big rocks, and I've had a great time collecting beautiful artistic pieces for the top of my garden. So little rocks, attractive looking rocks. I know that sounds bizarre. How do you have an attractive rock? But when you've been doing as much rock work as I have, they really are good looking rocks. But I couldn't do that first. I had to do the big work first. I had to move the big mounds of dirt first. I had to move the big rocks first, the big stuff, so that I could then do the little stuff. But that's not always the way it is. Sometimes we've got to do the little stuff first. Sometimes it's about brushing your teeth, having a shower, doing your exercise before you do anything else. It might seem little, but if you've got a brain that's ready to go because you've done some high intense burst of activity, so your brain's now full of all the chemicals that allow you to do the big stuff, then that little thing, that little injection, 10-second injection of high intense activity helps you achieve all of the big goals. One of the things I always ask, if you've got a test, an exam, you've got a competition, you're doing a martial art kata or a pattern, if you've got to learn words to a song, if you've got to remember something, if you've got a hot date, if you've got anything going on in your life that's really important, could it be a really good idea? That's the big thing. You have to achieve it. You have to do it. But could it be really important to do that little short, sharp injection, that 10-second sprint, high intense burst of activity, so you change your brain space so that you can do the big stuff? So how about a combination of little stuff and big stuff? Everything's important, and if it's not important, don't do it. And couldn't that be a really great philosophy? Do everything that's important, little and big, and don't do anything that isn't important, little or big. It's really easy to get distracted by big stuff, but it's not important to your goals. I would love you to live your life to the max. That's what I'm here for every day. Be healthy, fit and strong for the rest of your life. Have a career or business that you love. That's called a purpose. Wake up every day doing what you love. You can't be miserable. You can't be depressed. You can't be anxious. Even the neuroscientists, psychologists and psychiatrists all suggest that the reason people get depressed is they have no reason to get up. There's no purpose. But if you've got a reason and a purpose and an excitement and enthusiasm for life, really easy to get up. So is that your career or business, something that you're really excited about? Are you financially free or on track to being financially free? Sometimes we get caught up in the little things to do with money, and we forget about the big things, or the reverse. If you save $1 a day from the age of 15, you'll retire as a billionaire. So that's only a little amount of money, but it ends up being a really big deal. So financial freedom is an interesting one. Do we focus on the small cents, and that will then look after the big dollars? A great question. And then our relationships. Is it possible that it's not the big things that make our relationships work? Could it be the little things? Do you tell the people in your life how much you love them? Do you know their love language, so you can show them in their language how much you love them? It might only be a little thing. It might be one handwritten note. It might be one telephone call. It might be one inexpensive flower. It might be one special word of encouragement, one special do the ironing, mop the floor, empty the dishwasher. A little thing that could make a really big difference to your relationship. So how about this? 100% effort in everything that we do. Do all of the big things and the little things that are on track to us achieving our goals so that we can live our life to the max. Thank you for coming to Romax. My name's Rowie, and I would love you to sing like I do every single day. May your Mondays be magical. May your Tuesdays be terrific. May your Wednesdays be very well, and your Thursdays be thankful. May your Fridays be a fun day, may your Saturdays be super. May your Sundays be sparkly, 'cause you choose them to be. Ba 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 ba.